Thank you and good afternoon. Welcome to our ongoing summer webcast series. My name is Kathy Mira. Today we are presenting with Dr. Sanjay Shirude on marching into the data-driven world. As they say on airlines, if this is not the webcast you meant to be on, you better get off because we're about to take off. We are very excited. Sanjay always delivers a unique approach to data and is very engaging in his delivery. So we appreciate his time as CEO from ACCEL BI, one of our premier partners of Irwin, Inc. So at this time, I'd like to pass the floor to Sanjay to begin his presentation. Go ahead, Sanjay.
Thank you, Kathy, and good morning and good afternoon to everybody. And if you are some part of the world, then good night as well. So, we'll have fun during this talking because what we're taking off and we want to enjoy. Make sure that you don't take a lot of drinks, because flight is just taking off, okay? So, we're going to start and talk today about marching into the data-driven world. And so before I start every time, you need to know the pilot which you're marching on the flight. So basically, I love to talk about myself, and the whole hour I'm going to talk today only about myself. Oh, just kidding. I have 25 years of experience in data management. I'm an author and co-editor of the Data Management Body of Knowledge. I'm also working on a book, Building Capabilities from Your Data, which will be released very soon. And then my basic area of interest is building data management capabilities, data management maturity, data business strategy, and business process management and project quality assurance. As you've seen that it took a long time for me to figure out what I do, so I went to long time in school, spent almost lots of my time in the school, but got so many degrees and so many stuff, and now I realize that I can worth of something. So with that background, I'm going to start, talking about, what we are going to do today. We are going to first talk about what is the need for a data-driven business model. Then we will talk about initial steps for marching into the data-driven world. And then we'll talk into the approach to transition into data-driven organization. So basically, we're doing what it is, why it is, and how it is. So that we're trying to answer these three questions today. But, as you know, many times, if you are doing the activities and your work is being funded, you need to talk about who is funding. So, basically, ACCEL BI is sponsoring, along with the CA is sponsoring this activity, or Irwin is sponsoring this activity. And the purpose of ACCEL BI is to, provide services to build data management capabilities. What we do is we develop a strategic transformation to the data-driven organization. And we, perform the assessments, and at the same time, we are vendor agnostics except Irwin. Okay. Now let's dive into this immediately into the need for data management, data-driven business model. Now, if you look at today's environment, everybody's talk of big data, and that's the big cloud. It's big rain, big stuff. Because I'm in Seattle, so I always like the rain. So I brought the black cloud on the white cloud. So it's a big data. That's the biggest cloud. And then what happens is here. Along with the big data, now we got a lot of digital consumers. I think everybody have at least two phones right now, one from company and one from them. Plus they have an iPad, and then plus they have a laptop and a desktop and 3 screen and with a TV connected to that. So a lot of digital consumers, and we're looking at a lot of information. When all these things get together with the big data and all that data to the digital consumers, this is what happens. This is the biggest explosion in the data world. And that's its biggest IT challenge right now companies are facing in the 21st century. How to deal with this big explosive data requirements what we have. And everybody is trying to identify, I go and buy an Hadoop and get a big solution on big data and everything. But the important part is that what we're looking. We're looking into high availability and exceptions management for better quality of a service. At the same time, we want to do everything and get it initialized for short time to market. Because every time, right now we are in the industry where if you're taking, development of 6 months, you are out of business. We need to develop right away. We want to do it as fast as could be. And So very short times, the project lengths are very short. That's why the agile methodology is becoming popular, because we want to do it, deliver often and sooner. But with this, all the three basic things: high availability, exception management for better quality of service, institutionalization of the shorter time to market. What we're looking, we need basically a effective data management, because without that we cannot do anything. Because even though what kind of software we buy, we need to see how effective our data management things are. Now you're saying, yeah, looks nice, in Seattle it rains, so you are talking about the clouds and all those things, and I understand we need to have data management, but do I understand what is the data management? Data management is important because it's an ability of an organization to precisely define, easily integrate. The important part is it easy to integrate, protect, effectively, retrieve and deliver the data for both internal applications and external communication. This is more important into the ability to understand what I am trying to do. I'm precisely, as a data management, I'm looking into the define and easily integrate, protect, and retrieve the data for internal and external communication. At the same time, when I am looking the data management, when I am giving the data out, it is important part, the important data which is relevant to the stakeholder for their fit to purpose is what I need to deliver. And that's where data management really begins. Data management is not the software I buy and store the data in it. It is what I do with after I store the data, and that's the data management. From the data management body of knowledge, version 2, where the entire data management is done into 11 subject area, and if you see the circle on your right on the screen, it says the data governance is a core activity, and data governance affect everywhere. Many of the organization, if you look at in your own organization, you have a financial governance, you have operations governance, you have IT governance, you have business governance. And most of the cases, we don't have data governance, or if data governance exists, it just exists as a body, but really not happening anything in the data governance area. So just wanted to highlight you what the data management is, what the steps are. And also emphasize the data management is the precision, granularity, and meaning the metadata with how the data is integrated into business application. Many times what I observed is that our definition of a metadata in a very commonly people is that, oh, I have a data model and I have a data dictionary, it is my metadata. And that's, now that it is not the metadata. It is metadata is, the meaning of the data which we are trying to store and for the best purpose, for the fit for the purpose. For that, what is my metadata? That's what we need to do. We need to have as data management activity. It is also technology dependent, not technology dependent, but rather it addresses overall condition of enterprise data from both business and IT perspective. So we're looking into both business and IT perspective as well. Steps for marching into data-driven world. Now, we know now what the data management is all about. I just covered in 5 minutes what is data management all about. And now let's see what are the steps involved into marching into the data-driven world. The first thing what we do is, starts with assessing the current data maturity. Now, why assessment? What's the maturity? How come into maturity right away? This is what I want to, you can read all the slide here, but I want to tell you very specific and good example. When I came out of the college, and immediately I thought that now I got my doctorate, I got master's, so I can get the job right away. So I had capabilities with me that what I'm capable of doing, that was reflected in my resume. But when I was going for the interview, people were asking me, oh, do you have any experience? Did you work on any project? What was your project you completed during your doctorate? What are the projects you completed during your master's? So they were trying to see that how is my knowledge mature, how I can able to deliver what I learned or what I have in my capabilities, and that's where the maturity comes in place. An important part is maturity has nothing to do with keeping hair on your head. It has something different. So I always thought that if I become old, I become mature. That's not the true case. Or just a joke, okay? So let's move next to understand the first step is you have to do an assessment of a current maturity level, where you stand, what you do. Second thing is that you need to go to envision the future data management capabilities and then the solution footprint to support them. Important part is if you look at that, what we are saying in the step 2 is I have to look into the future of my capabilities in the data management. So I know now what my maturity level are and what my capabilities I need to have, and then for that I am bringing the technology or any other process solution to support that need instead of buying the software first and then going for the data which is need to be stored in the software. So it is a different step. And why I'm saying that, because if you look at that in 2004, the Aberdeen group did a study. And they realized that at the end of the study, they came back and said, industry spent $260 billion losses due to that, the pervasive inability to organize and analyze the spend the data. They were just collecting, they didn't bother, just data was there. So that's this step will avoid you to fall into that trap and saying that, yes, I know next 4 years, this much data capabilities I need to have, and for that capabilities, I need to have this footprint of solution to support that. Important part is, how you define your investment. This is how you define your investment. Step 3. Quantify the business value of the technology or solution you need. This is a very typical project management case. Many times we looked into the earned value, and we think that earned value of the project we define gives us the value of what the project delivers. But actually, earned value is doing only the costing, it's not the value. I completed the task at this percent, and this task is online. I'm on the baseline. I'm on the budget. I'm outside the budget. I spend over less. That's what earned value management gives to you. But it does the important part for us to look into that. How can I quantify the business value of the technology or the solution you need? And then that's where effectivity of data management comes in place. So you have a data assessment, you have implementation plan, and you have the quantified value of the solution, and that gives you the return on investment on your data management. So far, I think it makes sense. Now, let's jump into more about the data maturity, because I'm getting mature, so always I think about the maturity comes first. What we did is in the CMMI, this is the data maturity model which is CMMI developed. It took them 3.5 years to development. It was 50 plus author contributed to it. There were 70 peer reviewers. One of those 80 plus organization, ACCEL is one of those participating in that, and it contains 1,000 pages. And definitely, I'm not going to cover today 1,000 pages. That's for sure. But this is how the data model was developed. Now, important part is what is in these 1,000 pages. If you look at now the entire data management activity, which was, data management body of knowledge, has described the 11 subject area. What the maturity assessment or CMMI did is they created 5 different categories of the data management areas. One of them is a data management strategy, other is a data governance, data quality, platform and architecture, data operations, and the supporting process. Now, I'm not going to deep of every one of them, but each of these 5 categories has 25 process areas like data management strategy, communication and data management functions, data governance management, metadata, business glossary, data profiling, data quality, strategy, provider management, and I'm just picking some name here and there. But those are the 25 categories, and they are interlinked with each other to assess the structure and assess the capability of your organization. Important part why the DMM, because it's a vendor and technology independent assessor. It's focused on the assessment, not on the technology. It is a cross-industry application. The model benefits from widest range of users, and it sets up a baseline for you. Like in any other project, you need to have a baseline schedule, baseline cost. This is also gives you baseline for your data management initiative when you are moving into the data-driven world. And rigorous and comprehensive of CMM approach. That's what it's based on, because it's good it's the training approach, long-term viability of the business. When I start looking into this and going in more details of data maturity, I'm realizing that I need to define the levels of my maturity. When I'm doing something as I'm supposed to do, I'm performing some task at the project level, then I call I'm performing something level 1. At level 2, I start managing those processes, those business functions or procedures, and then I'm saying I now have a control over this process, so I'm at level 2. At level 3, all these processes defined and all these processes are defined. What I mean by defined, these processes are now institutionalized across the organization. Means data governance is applicable at organization-wide. Business glossary is maintained at organization level. Metadata is maintained at organizational level. My data quality strategy is at organizational level. I do profiling for every other data project which comes in the organization, not a specific project of my choice. So that becomes institutionalization of my processes in place. Once I institutionalize all these processes, now I'm trying to see how can I measure the particular performance of the function. For example, how do I measure the quality of the data? Is this working for organization for better, or how I'm making effectively use of it? At this level, I'm also now trying to apply a statistical tool and doing a lot of statistical work based on my data to control the data quality defects, control the availability of a data, improve accessibility of the data through my data lifecycle. And as I start getting it more mature in a major level or optimized level, my goal is to make them optimized. Now I use the data which I have, which is cleaned, which is verified, which is a solid source of reference, and it is once the verified source of the data. I'm trying to use that data for a strategic alliance or making a strategy of my business and driving my business from my data, and now and I'm trying to make competitive analysis as compared to where we are and what we do with our data with the industry competition, or help our peers to succeed. That's the level of optimization level 5 means. Now, why we achieve this? What goes in this? Reason is this: that as you progress your levels, your ad hoc processes are reduced, and you have started reusing your processes. Why it is important to not to have ad hoc processes? Because ad hoc processes does not always guarantee a success. Because what you will repeatedly do again and again, which is successful. That means when I reuse my process, guarantee of the success is guaranteed, because guarantee of success is more high. When happens is the guarantee of success is high, my risk level is reduced. At the same time, my quality confidence is increased in the process. And when my quality increases, automatically my clarity in the work increases, and I am more and more stress-free. My stress level is reduces. Now, I know we don't get stressed out about the work. That's for sure. We just do the fun at the work all the time, no stress, perfectly agreed. But we do the stress test on the daily basis. And if I have clarity, do you think we need to have stress test? Or it may not be necessary, but just kidding, okay? So, but that's what happens when you are trying to go level from level 1, level 2, level 3, level 5, or as you mature, your stress level reduces and the clarity brings more and more. At the same time, I'm delivering more quality and I'm delivering consistent success of my data management effort or my data-driven organization. Now let's look at the assessment. If we now understand what is the data assessment, data maturity model, and why it is important, now go into deep dive a little bit on the DMM assessment. Why we should perform one, how it does help, what is the process, and how long does it take. Important part of the assessment is that, is engaging lines of business fully through the education. Now, in IT industry, in IT world and all the time, if the report is not working, who gets the blame? Yeah, IT didn't develop right, they didn't understand, that's not the case. Or data was why the system allowed me entering data in the system that way. If it is not right way of entering data, why didn't they protect? So who gets the blame at the end? IT did that, I didn't do it. But the important part is that we need to identify and include lines of business in the data management. Most of the time when we do an IT projects, our quality assurance is associated with the software quality. Take an example. When we write the software for writing a reference data, let's assume that it is the area code of the phone and then area code. So we say that area code must be 3-digit and it should not be alphanumeric. That's kind of a standard you put in. You validate and make sure that it is the correct area code. Area code numbers are written, and that's the end of it. And then, because the area code is limited number, you create that as a reference data, and you have reference value for it. You just use as a reference, and then you validate when the phone number is entered. You validate the number exists there or not. So now in the transaction process, contact information, there are 25 different phone numbers written using 10 different various area codes. We go after that, customer goes and change the area code, which was earlier was 206 to 897. Automatically, because it's the reference data, it changed everywhere. That code value is changed, the data is changed. That is now created data quality problem. It is not a software issue. As far as the software quality assurance is concerned, 897 value was very valid value, but it doesn't have data. When we look at the data quality issue, now the data is changed and we didn't track that. That's what software quality assurance does not do. That's where the data quality assurance comes in place, and that's where data come in place, and that is the ownership what business need to have. So that's why we need to engage in the process of assessment, the lines of business, and give them the sufficient education about the data is their responsibility and they are responsible for it. If you are here listening and you are a business owner, then you will understand more about the technological terms people are using so that you can appreciate what they're bringing together. Ultimately, our goal is that how we are doing, right? To identify how we are doing. It also creates, the assessment creates a common concepts progressively and terminology, and it creates a shared vision and a purpose, and also tells you what should be next. It's industry-wide standard that builds the confidence in the people. How the DMM helps? It creates the common language, shared understanding of the progress, and it also at the end gives you graded path step by step for improvements and acceleration. Now what I'm covering is just giving you how the assessment needs to be carried out. You don't need to hire Excel BI to do this. You can do yourself. And but important part after this is what I'm going to drive you from here is how do you build a data organization. So stay tuned, and I'm going to talk now. So let's go back to the DMM again. The acceleration, because since it is a common shared language and a graded step path and unambiguous practice statement and functional products, it accelerates your implementation of the DMM. The process of assessment is we do prepare, assessment, and conclusion. We define the scope, we collect the work products, we help you to recruit the participant in the assessment, and then we conduct the kickoff meeting, we do the workshops, we review the product and conduct the interviews, and then we give you the executive briefing and final report of where you stand. The total process takes almost 4 weeks. 1 week for preparations, the introduction to the DMM concept, we do the training, and then the assessment for 2 weeks. We do the workshops, work product reviews, and supplemental interviews we conduct, and then the conclusion we finished in 1 week. So overall, it takes 4 weeks. It's not a long period to take your assessment done. How the assessment looks like after 4 weeks? It looks like this. Now look at the 25 process areas, and all where you stand, and then we remember there is a white circle. If you see here, number 3 white, it shows a white circle. That's where we really like you to have. But if sometimes you are less in one area, more in area, one good in one area, bad in another area, or there is a scope of improvement needed in another area. This is assessment process here look like, where we give the clear identification of weaknesses in your data operations and data quality products. In this particular example, define the process management, facilitated major deficiencies in process management. That's what we found. So this is how you will see the assessment. Then we take your assessment and go back to the industry level assessment, which we have across the industry, and we show you where you stand. So number in between in the bars is where the current organization, your particular organization, stands. And then we also show under where the challenges are. Under data management strategy, data governance, or platform architecture, your data quality, or data operations, and we see that and we identify, yes, this is where you are, and then we get the compared you with the industry. The results spot for business. From the business perspective, they get assurance that they have trusted data. They have improved risk and analytics decisions, cost reductions and operation efficiency, and regulatory compliance. Brief recap. You should now better understand about what the data management is and the importance of assessing the organization data management practices. Now transition into data-driven organization. Are you ready for it now? The process of transitioning to that. First, we develop a foundation. Foundation is based on defining the business model. Then we align the organization to the model, align the organization to the business model. Then we create and deliver the value by realization of that facilitation of those organization values models, and then we go and actualize by doing the methods and feedback system, and then we also measure the sensing system. That's for improvement. Important part when you are dealing with and marching into data-driven organization is identifying, first of all, what's your data focus areas. The environment. The first is environment. What my focus is now environment. In environment, what I'm looking is customers, what they value, the perception of the brand, services, external process in the customer, the operationals, mechanics, execution of internal processes, production outputs, productivity and efficiency, and the technical aspect is the specification, product, services, techniques and technologies, and the operational aspect is organization model, culture, and organization structure and sourcing activities. When I looked at all these 4 things, important part is that what I'm trying to do with this focus. Important part for the data management, because you are now transitioning to new activity, you need to define what is the value of my data management, how I'm creating a value to the organization for the promise. That means I'm generating a promise from here. The senior management of the organization are an independent community of value creators. They know most of the time they create the value. The reason is that your senior people are hired, high-level profile people hired, that not they are just trying to write the project charter or project stuff or approve project charter. Their focus is on creating the value in the organization based on the organization strategy. And those values are nothing but a portfolio of types and measures for each of the senior manager. Then the strategy is to be proposed is to the personal, to the individual. Now each of these senior manager has their own strategies. They work within their own. This is how I want to get the organization here, and this is why I'm adding a value to the process. We, as a data organization and data-driven management process, we want to understand and see those different personal strategies and how they are offering. Then we do identify and do the relative analysis on their strength and a synthesis of those different strategies of all the different managers, senior level managers in the organization. Sometimes they call executives as well. And then the purpose is that his organization is achieving the promise already. That's what we want to identify. And that will be our first step of identifying and defining the business model. What we do with what you should do in that process. You define the partners. What are the partners in the process based on this first initial analysis of the 4 data, so 5 data sets, 4 factors we looked into, and then you identify partners, activities, their value proposition, and how the customer is interacting with them. When each of your divisions, heads, executives are looking into there, they will draw this on their own, and then they will see that, oh, this is what their interpretation of organization model is. This is what their customer look like, because each one of them have different interpretation of the customer level. As a data management organization, we are looking at the overall organization, not one particular business unit or not one particular department in the organization or not a leadership of one particular executive. So this has to be, that's why every one of them has to be, you need to define the business model with every other executives, and then come with a leader, understand the shared purpose, define the shared culture values, and then outcome of this activity, what will happen is that you will identify the principle of engagement in the organization, what kind of engagement they have with respect to the data. Then what kind of a culture organization has to handle the data. It's not the culture of the organization, it's the culture of the organization, data processes, data practices they are now implemented. The critical information links, what are the critical data they have, critical information, critical data. Then what kind of innovation processes they are trying to implement, and active or passive system they have. That's what we're going to get into this first active of step 1 when we define the business model for the data management activity. Then once we define that, what we do, we go back and align, as we said, align the organization. When we align the organization, each of the executives, each business unit has their own critical success factors. We take the agency vision, then we have a culture in place, and we start looking into the critical success factors. Each critical success factor drives a particular performance. So we have a performance drivers for those. Some performance drivers fall into one or more success factors, and one or more success factors have become part of the performance driver as well, has more than one performance driver. We link those 3 things with the action plan. Important part is that in an organization, there are 4 basic factors: people, customer, processes, and finance. And that's what will be get into the process of how organization has their reward metrics in place. And that particular activity, when we define, we will know now what kind of the data within the data business model is moving from one entity to other entity, or one department, or one executive to other department, or one executive to one business unit to other business unit. And that will give us exactly idea about what are the basic data facts and innovation process we have going on in the organization. Hope this is making sense. Let me move to the next steps, step 3, creating and delivering the value. Important part here is that we look into the operational excellence. Now what you're doing is you are collecting collaboratively all the different business model each executive has created and given it to you. Now you are trying to merge that together and see as a one customer what the value is being delivered by different people, how they are interlinked to each other, what data is moving. So I take an example. If you see the diagram here, I showed 3 different models, 3 business models, and then trying to get integrated to. So it shows organization capabilities, it shows human performance, it shows organizational competitiveness, and the relationship maps. It also now, at end of this activity, you will get preliminary data-driven business model canvas, and then that way we'll start exploring more. With this canvas, when it comes back, this is what we'll do. You will be able to now understand the flow control and between the partners, between the activities, and between the resources. You will be able to have reciprocity between the activities and a value proposition. You will now know here what kind of a platform I need to have for my value proposition, my relations, and my customer. And then it also give you the channels to identify what kind of a scalability of the data storage or data requirements I need to have. On top of that, you will more clearly understood what kind of a governance activity needed, or where is the governance in place for all these 4, 5 different pillars here, and then you can able to identify the governance requirement across the organization. So this is basically will help you and try to get into the data management framework. So when I start looking into methods and feedback, then I have now kind of seeing that how the feedback loop is going, what are the different methods are available here in my organization, and then I have kind of a data management framework available at step 4. At step 5, what we are doing, we are now building a sensing system, because now what I'm marching into a data-driven organization. And to do that, then I will have a data management strategy which consider of all these 5 components from my framework, and I develop a data management strategy. Data management strategy will now lead into me a data governance strategy, and also leads me into the what kind of critical data assets I have and what kind of business glossary or metadata I need to maintain. And then it will lead me into the data quality requirement with my data quality strategy and data cleansing and data profiling processes, data quality assessment, and data quality fixing issues or the processes. In addition to that, it will give me a data operations and a security platform. What kind of a data need to operations I need to perform, what is my data life cycle needed, how much security and where the data need to get secure, how will I access to that, and which platform my data is going to sit, what is my available data platform. All this will come back to you into the step 5 for the sensing system, and that's your data management function, and that's how you will march into the data management strategy or data management function organization starting into the data management world. Important part here is that where the CA Arvind comes into place, or I don't know why I'm using CA Arvind comes in place. Now, as you know, I started with the things that my company also need to have the sponsor, and then I need to take the name of the sponsor. Here I'm not taking name of the sponsor. I'm showing that the value of the product the data Arvind data modeling tool is bringing to you. You have in operations, you need a data modeler or data modeling tools. They are available there in the operations and security process. In data quality, also Arvind data modeling tool helps you to identify the quality. It also able to record the data lifecycle, data latency information, and the new product data governance in place here right now too to support that. And that's what is all about the sensing system, and this is where it will help you get into organization marching into the data world. What are the next steps you need to do? First thing, you prepare to get a question answered, finalize the scope of the statement of work, recruit the participant, get familiar with the DMM. You can do by yourself, or if you want, you can contact us as well. Collect the work products, finalize the logistics, then conduct your kickoff meeting, do the assessment, review the work products, and conduct the interviews for the people to identify what needs to be done. And I already gave you the 5 different steps to get those interviews and finding what needs to be done. Analyze what you find the observations and get the recommendation done, create the final report, and do the executive briefing to your executives and get your data management project funded. And then the important part, never forget, implement the recommendations and transition into the data-driven world. That's it for my side. I'm open for question now, but I just want to let you know that a couple of things are coming up again with, because I started now your data organization, there will be somebody, kissing you on data governance, and there is, the web portal of Arvind talk about There is data modeling and data governance. Those topics are coming up. So I think I'm finished my topic. I'm open for your questions. Back to the host.
Sanjay? Yeah, and I was remiss at the top of the webcast, but Sean typed everyone a note. So if some of you have seen it, but if for those who haven't, all you need to do is type to the Ask Questions here in your chat log, and I'll be happy to read any that come in here forward to him. But in the meantime, the ones you have received are as follows. Your first question is, what is the difference between capability and maturity?
That's an interesting and very good question. During my presentation, I was also explaining that the difference is very big difference. The capabilities, what you have. The maturity, what you are showing other, and you have a proof of it. Basically, you perform the work, and then you have work product associated with that. It shows that you are capable of doing something. And then the maturity tells me how I'm good enough to work with the organization. Where I'm doing my task at a project level, I'm doing the task which are measurable, and I'm looking all my processes are smart or not smart. That's your capabilities. That's your maturity, and the capability is what you're doing the task. Sometimes we don't have capabilities, but when we do the maturity assessment, you will know you are lacking in that capabilities.
Thank you. And how much time does it take to develop a data management strategy or framework?
It depends on the organization's scope of the work you need to do. It takes between 6 months to a year, depending on the availability of resources and the commitment of the organization. But more or less, it's a 6-month project.
And a follow-up for how much for an assessment?
For assessment, it takes 4 weeks to do it.
Okay. Sean's giving me the sign that nobody's currently typing a question. We'll give it one more moment. I do think you did a great job on the promotion of our upcoming webcast events. Just also point out to those who missed previous ones, if you go to irwin.com/events, you can do a drop-down and sort by summer series, and you can find all the webcasts that have been delivered throughout the summer that you may have missed, and they are all available on demand for replay today. No, he's still giving me the no more questions sign, so I guess, Sanjay, we'll give everyone back the gift of time with a solid content delivery. And again, we thank you so much for sharing your expertise with our audience.
Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to share more information. Please, if you have questions, please call me back.
Thanks so much. Okay, I guess we'll conclude today's webcast event. Thank you very much.